absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the secretary.
No, those are
Yes, are we
old-
ready?
Those are
You're up.
old movies.
Okay.
The newer ones are good.
Okay, we got 2 minutes before we start.
That's really. It looks pretty good. Mod Squad. That's the show we started on.
Well,
The Mod Squad.
you're being recorded.
The girl's name was Peggy Lou.
Okay, have you signed in?
She was one of the mod squad.
Yeah, so was Clarence Whitman.
This is Barbara. Hello,
One black, one white, one blonde.
hi Barbara, how are
Is
you?
where they
I hope
Promo.
this works. Do I put it on speaker or just leave it?
just leave it.
Okay.
They can't show up to that
Okay, hold on.
problem.
Yes? Okay, I think we're ready. Okay. Okay, let's start.
Okay.
It's just about 10, I think. Everyone's coming who plans to. Can we please convene the meeting? Barbara Cornish is on the phone. She's calling in. Barbara, do you hear us?
Hello, Barbara. Okay,
Speak one at a time.
okay.
Good advice. Okay,
We don't do that here.
yeah, right.
That's confusion.
Let's go over the agenda just for a minute. I said in the email to the committee that we are going to do a hard stop at 12 on the edits to the bylaws. And then at 12, we'll talk about the process, the housekeeping stuff that we have to do to get this done and nailed down. So today, we're going to finish Article 8, starting with the Operations Committee on page 26. Go to conflicts, which has been on the agenda for months. We never get to it. And housing for older persons, I'm hoping we can just knock those out today. We have several petitions, as you know. Quorum, 1 owner, 1 vote. Electronic signatures, and 11 that came in last month. And I just spoke to Sandy, who's almost done vetting. Not quite done, that was a lot to do. The close date for new petitions, we said last time that we would stop. I'm gonna recommend in a little while when we get to it that we stop today and make a formal announcement of it so people know. And go through the ones we have, including the ones that are being vetted. And then finish the process that we have. We need to tee up our attorneys. Rod Tennyson is our attorney of record. We need to make a decision about when we clue him in that it's time to get involved. And then our timeline. Essentially, we could finish today. That's a bold statement and it probably will not come true. We could finish the first pass today. We will then need to do a read-through, meaning that everybody takes the corrected bylaws, the edited bylaws home with them, reads them to really make sure this is what we want, that we didn't miss anything, that we didn't make any mistakes. And then we come back. In the meantime, I'll go to the committees for their okays on the committee descriptions that we have done. And that'll be it. I'm not setting a date at this point, but we're getting closer. Feel comfortable with that. Okay, minutes. Shall I read them? Okay. Tuesday, July 11th. The chair convened the meeting at 10 a.m. A new petition to allow electronic signatures on petitions was received from Marilyn Pomerantz. The chair reiterated that the committee had voted to complete the current bylaw review before new petitions are considered. The minutes from the June 13 meeting were reviewed and accepted. After review, the committee approved making the following edits to the bylaws. Edited language appears in red or strike through. Article 8, committees. A proposal presented by a standing committee to the delegate assembly for a resolution may be returned to the committee for further research and information when only one or two items stand in the way of acceptance of the larger proposal. We might wanna come back to this language, it's a little awkward, but for now, that's what we said. The revised proposal, may then be resubmitted to the delegate assembly for vote. Motion by Stuart, seconded by Jackie Carlin, unanimous vote. And by the way, Jackie is ill today, so she's not in attendance.
Who is Stuart?
Stuart is not here either, I don't know.
Oh, I think Phyllis is having some.
Oh,
work
yeah,
done.
She's having, okay.
Petite.
Okay, so addition of this responsibility for all committees. Submit a plan and budget in April of each year to the finance committee for the committee's activities for the year. And is that the right place? I think we said that. Does it go to the finance committee, the budget request? Okay. We removed irrigation and pumps from the list of committees since the work is covered under the infrastructure committee. Motion by Marilyn Pomerantz, seconded by Barbara Cornish, unanimous vote. Removal of item 2 under advisory committee. This description taken from the bilateral agreement and never in the original or amended bylaws. So we removed this. In the event of any dispute over the bilateral agreement, the parties agree to submit said dispute for mediation to a specially constituted body consisting of 2 members of the advisory committee and 2 representatives on behalf of the association, who will name a 5th neutral member. We knocked that out. We said that's never happened and makes no sense. We added the phrase "in a timely manner" to the finance committee description of this item. The finance committee shall arrange for an independent annual audit of the UCO budget, which shall be completed in a timely manner, the results of which shall be presented to the officers' executive board and the delegate assembly. Motion carried 12-2. Under beautification committee, removal of the strike-through language. The committee shall submit an annual budget, including explanations of the budgetary requests, and we crossed out as well as proposals for specific local plantings. Name change for the programs and services committee to maintenance and services committee. And removal of the last sentence in the description. This committee shall be the liaison between the appropriate authorities representing management in the village. It shall bring to management's attention any and all omissions in the execution of the contract between management on one side and UCO, the associations and residents of Century Village on the other. The part that we struck out, it shall review the programs of shows and movies and determine ticket prices. Name change for the editorial committee to the communications committee, and responsibility added for UCO community TV channels. Name change for the emergency committee to CERT, emergency response team. A time frame was added to the bid committee. Any bid must be presented to the committee a minimum of 4 days before the meeting at which the bid is to be presented. You might wanna change that at which the bid is to be reviewed. We can go back to that.
Neither at this time, UCO does not operate a website or any kind of internet communication. There are blogs, but they're not under the purview of UCO. But that could change in the future. Would that be something the committee might consider adding in next to community TV channels?
So it would say what, UCO community TV channels and
Internet media?
What's
What's a good way to say it?
How do you all feel about that? That makes sense.
I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, let me repeat it.
Yeah, I know, I read what you had.
Right, and he said, UCO doesn't have a website at this point.
Right.
In the event that it may in the
We
future,
do have a website. We have a website. The reporter has a website.
right, but that's not an official UCO, is it?
No, it's fine, but
Yeah.
nobody maintains it.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
So in other words, there's no,
In fact, it's a wonderful website.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of capability,
Yeah.
but nobody maintains it.
well, we're working, that's a work in progress right now, we're working on
It's
getting.
gotta be operated, right?
so so should we say then, and all internet media?
Yeah, I think Yuko certainly requires a web presence for all sorts of reasons.
Good term.
But
But
just
is
as
that
a-
under is that under the communications committee, David?
Sure,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
communications.
let's say you're sitting out in nowhere, Kansas, and you wanna buy a property here.
Right.
Why should a human have to walk in here with a bunch of papers?
Right.
It should all be electronic, right? And all that should be on the official website.
Right. Good idea, okay. So we will add and all internet media, you're okay with that? Just a little more responsibility, Troy.
Okay.
Okay, so then the next meeting was August 8th. Meeting was adjourned at 12:25, and I understand, yes, please.
Okay, we have, motion by Marilyn Pomerantz, I'm sure the motion was not by Marilyn Pomerantz. On page, going back,
Oh, okay,
I don't know who made the motion, but I know it wasn't by Marilyn Pomerantz.
What's the motion?
Oh, the irrigation, removal of irrigation and pumps.
Yes, infrastructure committee,
I'll go back to I'll go back to the recording and find out who it was. It might have been Marilyn Gorodetzer.
made it.
Oh.
Maybe Marilyn Burdette,
Probably, right.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And Bobby, you had a correction, I believe.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's appropriate, but under the beautification committee, I think it should be more the committee shall submit an annual budget, including explanations of the budgetary requests. The committee shall only be responsible for the design and planting of trees and flowers on Yuko properties. The maintenance and upkeep, it should be understood as under the maintenance committee, isn't that right, Donald?
Infrastructure?
Yeah, infrastructure. I think it should
You're
say
talking
that-
about maintenance after the fact
After-
of vegetation planting.
Right.
I'd say once we own it,
Yeah,
it becomes maintenance.
kind of becomes
only responsible for the
Yeah.
design and planting.
Okay, so read me the language if you don't
Alright, I
mind again.
think the committee shall be responsible only for the design and planting
Hold
of
on, responsible only for
or
design.
design and planting of trees and flowers on Yuko properties.
Okay. Yes, yeah,
I have a question on that. What about, village, Capitol Hill, and Chelsea, signs, the lighting, all of that? Is that up to beautification?
That's coming
and
in
that
under,
lighting and the entrances,
that's coming in under
Maintenance
Maintenance.
infrastructure, sure.
Maintenance.
That's maintenance now.
Wait, are you trying to tell me that maintenance, once that's signed from the sign, I think beautification has development, and then once the channel has been maintained by maintenance, but it's like flowers, they're not going to be maintained by beautification, be maintained by.
I didn't hear any of that.
oh, I'm sorry, okay. She's saying the entrances are going to be maintained by beautification, not by maintenance. Go ahead, hold on,
No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of.
Can you hear me now?
yes,
Okay, what I'm saying is that you put down under beautification only design and planting of trees and plants, that would take, beautification away from the design for the entrances and the lighting, which that's the design factor that has to be included. A matter of fact, Bob, you just took care of the sign out of Okeechobee, that's beautification, not maintenance. After you do it, it becomes maintenance.
do you understand that?
I'm not catching any of
Hold
this.
on, Barbara. She's saying that beautification is responsible for the design of entrances and lighting as well.
Okay,
And that afterward, the maintenance goes to the maintenance committee. Is that right, Barbara?
Correct.
Okay, so you want to include, so the committee shall be responsible for design and planting of trees and flowers,
That's what we
as
said.
well as design for entrances and lighting?
Correct, of the entrance, right.
All right, by that,
Remember, beautification, pick out the lights that are on the entrance and have them.
okay, so by that, we're talking about redesign or changing of a physical thing, an electrical box. By that reasoning, why shouldn't beautifications be in charge of the storm drains I'm about to clean
They
out?
shouldn't be responsible for the maintenance of anything.
Yeah.
Just the design, all she's saying is design.
Sure,
Yeah.
how the thing looks.
Design it,
That's what you said to
They
begin with.
design it in the beginning, and that's it. Once they give the format of what they want, and we do it, then it automatically goes over to maintenance.
What color the thing is,
Where else is it going?
I mean, certainly what color the thing is, what,
maintenance is maintenance, comes
Maintenance is
under
maintenance.
infrastructure reserve, whether it's a weed or a light bulb.
Okay,
Whether it's
I
red or
think
blue.
we understand that, so we're talking only about design. Okay, so the language would be, the committee shall be responsible only for design and planting of trees and flowers,
Right.
as well as design for the entrances and the lighting at the entrances. Okay, all right? Thank you, I don't think we
I
need a
thought we
vote, do we,
wanted to
we're all in
get away
agreement?
from
No, we're on agreement.
right,
Bobby, are you okay with that?
No,
No,
I thought,
okay,
I
hold
thought
on,
we wanted to get away from having the beautification committee be responsible for these other things that should be taken up by maintenance and
so you don't wanna be responsible for lighting and for.
we did it this year because there was no committee and we were urged to get something moving. I thought we wanted to move that committee away from that responsibility.
Okay, hold on, Marcia,
No, it has always been under beautification.
I know it has always been, it seemed that
That's why
the,
we're doing this
we
right
were
now.
trying,
That's we're changing things.
I don't think that was decided by you, but I think it still should remain beautification.
yeah, hold on, folks, Barbara, what?
I can't understand why you would want to get away from that and give it to people who make
weren't getting anything done.
that's their
Right.
forte, when the beautification will beautify the community and the entrances was so important. Why would we not be involved? That's why we've always been involved. The problem was the committee wasn't activated, or they would have been involved with getting the signs. But Bob
Okay.
did.
What is the problem, Bobby, with being responsible for the design only?
there's no problem, except that since I've been involved, the committee is not moving along, there's a lot of chatter, nothing gets done. If I turned it over to Donald, he got things moving on the,
Hold on, go ahead,
Okay, I'm wasting all the time.
I know. Yes,
Okay, the only reason was there hasn't been, there wasn't meeting with enough people involved, now you have a legitimate committee
oh yeah.
of people. I don't think it's up to Donald to decide, or make it design, when that's up to people who beautify things.
okay, hold on, since you were referred to, how do you feel about it, Donald?
And I've said this to, if not this committee, certainly beautifications committee, when it comes to what color the thing should be, or what the flower should look like, I'm not your man.
Okay,
See these shirts? I've got 10 of them.
yeah,
Absolutely, when it comes to aesthetics, I would say beautifications, that's definitely in their purview.
okay, I'm going this way, I'm going around.
But
Herb.
I have further comment.
Oh, sorry,
I
Don.
think Bobby's original idea this year with beautifications was in order to get things done, her idea was to limit the scope of the committee to things that the committee can handle. And certainly, what kind of flowers to put in, what kind of shrubs, what color the sign should be, things of that nature. That certainly was within their capabilities, and they did a good job this year so far because of now, is that something you guys wanna do permanently? I don't know, that's for you to decide. But I think Bobby was on the right track of limiting the
Design.
scope of the committee so that they're not doing everything and getting nothing done at the same time.
Okay, hold on,
Can I make a suggestion that we redo this, go over this after the meeting between you and Donald and work out the language and you can bring it back the next time, it seems like we're going back and forth.
Barbara says no.
Barbara says no.
Why don't we get the people together that are involved and see if they can put the language together that satisfies both sides?
Let's just finish the comments that were up and we won't take any more after. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, I think Bobby has tried to do a really good job this year. And if the committee that came, when she came in, was getting nothing done, then she's the head, say, this is not working, we have to get rid of somebody and bring somebody. You've gotta have a committee that works together and you're all on the same
Okay.
page. If you can't get people to be on the same page, it's worthless.
Right.
And
It's not
killing-
you're right, and it's not the issue. The issue now is
Right.
what should the responsibility be?
And the responsibility of that committee should be to tell us what they feel beautification consists of, what do they want? After we do it, if we vote that they're right and we're gonna do what they're suggesting, once that's done, it automatically goes over to maintenance. Because
Right.
somebody has to maintain it and beautification is not capable of
Understood.
doing it.
David,
Well, I think what Herb said is what I was gonna say. The CAM in essence has Rolodex. Bobby's committee should come up with a grand scheme plan of what they think it should look like. But the implementation, the maintenance, the dealing with the contractors, et cetera, I mean, that's kind of a fundamentally different process. That should go over to maintenance and the CAM.
Right, bringing it from concept to a finished product is some, that's where I become your slave.
Right.
There is one other thing, in between that, from concept to going to the CAM, bid is involved in it.
Well,
So
sure, well, we know that.
that's where the help for the beautification should be.
Right.
Okay,
And
there was one more over here. Let's keep moving. Go ahead, was there, John?
Well, I was just thinking, we've got a lot of stuff on our plate here, and I think flowers is the least amount of worries we got. We've got conflicts with people, we've got housing for older persons,
Absolutely.
we've got several things, and messing with the flowers is, to me, is the last thing we need to be
Except that
discussing.
you're right, but we gotta make a decision
I
at
think,
some
well,
point.
I realize that, but we can make that later. Let's do the other stuff that's important
Alright.
first.
I think Joy's suggestion that we sit down after and just make the language more specific and return it to you is a good
Okay.
idea.
So it will be Bobby and Donald,
Donald.
anybody else?
Well, if you're going to do that, you should just have, at the next beautification committee, get all those people that are on
Sure.
that committee to decide what they think they want to do or should be doing.
What their mission should
That
What the
meeting
mission is, and then bring it
is-
back.
That meeting is August 15th.
That's where
Okay.
it should be decided at.
Perfect
And-
timing,
and then brought
okay,
back.
let's move on, please. Thanks very
Okay.
much. I wanna go back just on the minutes to the language in Article 8 committees, it's almost halfway down the first page of the minutes. A proposal presented by a standing committee to the delegate assembly for resolution may be returned to the committee for further research and information when only one or two items stand in the way of acceptance of the larger proposal. Is that language okay? I mean, is it one or two? Is it two or three? One or two, that gives us the spirit of it. Go ahead, David, and then John.
This is almost right out of the book of the House and the Senate. They'll chatter and they'll debate and it goes on, and then somebody will say, hey, enough. I vote it gets returned to committee
Yes.
for resolution,
Yes,
and that's what happens,
okay,
because they can't make a decision.
okay. Very good,
Now, it may come back and they still don't like it, but
right,
that's typical.
right,
Where'd it come from? Where'd the legislation come from? These senators didn't write it, it comes out of these various committees.
right,
And that's what the committee's job is.
right. Okay, makes sense. John, you're all set?
I was just
Okay,
gonna
let's-
basically what David said.
Let's move on to page 26 in the bylaws, that big packet that you have. It's the big fat one, okay? Page 26, Operations Committee. I think we had looked at this. Let's just read it and take a quick pass and make sure we're comfortable. John, do you want a package? You're all set, you're all set. Okay. In accordance with Schedule 2 of the Millennium Agreement to the long-term lease, UCO shall form an operations committee whose function is related to the operation of the recreational facility of Century Village, West Palm Beach. We changed that from WPRF. We just said the recreational facility. Said function shall include, but not be limited to, the making of all policy and control of all budgetary matters regarding operational expenses. The operations committee shall consist of all of the officers of UCO and any other UCO members or other consultants appointed by the president with the advice and consent of the officers committee. The committee's duties and responsibilities are detailed in the Millennium Operating Agreement, paragraphs 3 through 6, pages 6 through 22. And I have to validate that. See the Millennial Agreement. We did that, you're okay with that, right? Okay, we did officers committee. Did we do the election committee? Remember that? I believe we did.
Yeah.
Okay, we did that. Special events we did. Search nominations, we did. Okay, and that leads us to the page 33, transportation, we did that. And then there was something else, strategic planning, page 33. We never decided whether to keep that in or get rid of it, sorry. So page 33, strategic planning, the areas of responsibility for the strategic planning committee include long-term planning for the maintenance and operation for the property and for the benefit of the members and the unit owners. Is there a strategic planning committee? Should there be a strategic planning committee?
Always.
Okay,
Somebody's got to look ahead. What are you planning? What projects make sense? Maybe there should be, with the advice of the various relevant committees, strategic planning is a bear. And it's so easy in the flow of day-to-day to forget about it. We got 20,000 feet of fence around this village that's disintegrating. When's it gonna get fixed? Where's the money gonna come from? Right? Talking about $1 million project, duty worth of it. We got canals overgrown, choked up with silt, sludge, and all kinds of growth. And I hate to tell you what kind of animals live in it. These are major projects.
Yeah.
Right? These are major projects. Not the least of which is dealing with our not so good neighbor, which is gonna impact us on many levels, right? Fencing, drainage. Yeah, strategic planning's a big thing.
is
The
there?
officers are fundamentally responsible, but a good committee, hopefully manned by a couple of engineers, and that sort of thing, it's very important. I mean, how many of you remember people like George Duplay and, I mean, these were strategic planners, right? And we have a brand new weir, essentially. The whole drainage thing was put together by George Duplay. You know, his name may not be all over it until you get down into the data and look at the plans, and his little initials are everywhere. You need that kind of committee with that kind of expertise.
Does one exist right now?
Who does what?
Does a committee exist right now?
I don't think there's a committee.
No.
And the officers give this a try, but it's not a consistent program. and it's important.
So let's keep it in, but let's say, who should the members be, for example?
Engineers, if you can find them.
Knowledgeable people in the various engineering and construction disciplines. I mean, work with the language a little.
Well, actually,
But
I
certainly-
think that's understood. I guess what I'm getting at, who convenes that committee? Who says this committee will meet?
The chair.
Yeah.
Whoever that
Chair.
might be.
So
Well,
the
the
president
committee-
needs
The committee
to assign a
doesn't
chair.
exist at the moment,
Okay.
except on paper,
Got it.
right?
Okay, so the UCO president is hereby advised to
Yeah, I
name a
understand.
chair to the committee so that it may
Well, yeah,
convene.
that's my job.
Okay,
Quite right.
one that comes to mind is Dominic.
Dominic, certainly.
He
would
be George Duplay or
yeah,
closest to it.
Yeah.
George
That's a good
Duplay was an excellent man, fine mind.
so I think we can leave this as it is, but you now have it as in your mind that you need to,
Yeah, but don't
Create
go
the
it away, you know,
No,
we
leave it
wanna
in.
keep it in.
we're leaving it there, yeah.
We're not taking
Let me go to Marcia for a
Yeah.
minute and then
Listen,
Donna.
in order to get the people, that type of person, people who have the expertise, UCO will have to do something to recruit these people and to encourage them to come on to these committees. They live in the village and they haven't been recruited, and that's what we need to do.
Okay.
like somebody,
Okay. All right, so we're gonna keep saying, oh, Donald, I forgot, sorry.
This is a basic question. All of these committees, once they're in, are they required to be in operation? Can there be a dormant committee because of lack of interest or lack of help or, and just,
Then somebody would have to stir their pot.
right.
Right,
If it's a real committee, they need to
Right.
be doing something.
I mean, at the moment, you don't have this committee. But you can, three guys could show up next week that are perfect for it. Are you just allowed to leave a committee dormant and then
It has
revive
been.
it?
have no choice.
It has.
it has been, but Donald, what we said, and we may have said it while you were out, it's David's responsibility to appoint a chair and
Right.
get that committee going.
But if he
So-
doesn't, is he in the doghouse? Can he just say this year, we have
That's a good
we have
point.
no major projects, we have no money, we have no people.
Well, budget time is coming.
Yeah,
Things
Yeah.
change year by year.
good point. I think it's not, I don't know if you have to have it in the bylaws, whether it can lay dormant or be reconvened or, I think it's there.
It's there.
It should be, and it's up to the management of UCO to make sure that these things function. Go ahead, Herb.
And if you can't find engineers and construction people, well then, whatever committee you form, they would have to go out and get an engineer
Maybe.
to advise
Sure.
the committee
And part of
on
that.
what to do. Because I don't know if you are gonna be able to find the type of people that you're looking for, but if you find people on the committee who are committed to it, who are business people, who understand business and what you need, and then reach out to whoever would best advise that committee.
Right, the committee has to be made up of people here, though. Go ahead.
UCO has that power already
Exactly.
to engage contract personnel.
Experts.
Now, you take Rod Tennyson. It turns out Rod has an engineering degree. Rod is also a mechanical engineer. But he put us on to a hydrological engineer to help us deal with Andrew Waldman and his drainage issues. All right? But these are the kind of people that you need on long-term planning. No organization of this size and complexity can operate without a long-term planning component. I mean, it's like sticking your head in the sand.
It's true. I mean, I think that,
And it's outreach.
you're right, and it has to be led by people here, obviously. And what we're saying is we can bring in consultants as we need them.
Absolutely.
But the strategy needs to somewhere be envisioned in the head of our management. Go ahead.
In the past, excuse me, in the past, we did have people that wanted to be on certain committees And at that time, there were people for the infrastructure that had engineering degrees and architectural degrees and everything else. And these people were refused because of reasons of whoever. And they were not accepted on committees. And I don't think it would be up to the president of UCO, and it would be the chairperson of a committee if they want these people to be on a committee.
Who are
Okay,
they?
hold up, yeah.
Give me the name of an engineer who was rejected for membership on a
I'm not,
committee.
I'm referring back to Ed Ross. He was an architectural man, he was a engineer, he knew engineering, he knew planning and everything else. And at that time, and it's going back to when I was corresponding secretary, and these people there were people that wanted to be on certain committees that was their field, and they were refused, you wouldn't let them on the committee.
Okay, let's talk, let's stick with the issue, which is that we have, we're going to keep the committee under the current bylaws, and the future ones, the president appoints, as we've written them, the president appoints the chair, and let's go on to the next item.
Marilyn is correct, and that goes back to when the clubhouse was destroyed. And I was not president, I was not in UCO, that was George Lowenstein who hired Ed Ross and then fired him.
Yeah,
It's a
okay,
long time ago.
okay, over here, I'm going to David and then to Herb, and then we're gonna move on to the next item.
I'm just a little bit concerned, well, not concerned, but I think we should just clean it up. Operation for the property for the benefit of the members and the unit owners.
That's the same thing.
Members of UCO would, I would think, no, we just put
No, it
for
is
the
the
benefit
same,
of the
you're right,
members of
it is the
UCO.
same. Let me go back, you're right, that's a mistake.
Where are you, what page?
Go ahead, David.
26? Page
Oh,
26, let me just get this for a minute and I'll come to you, 26?
33.
Oh, you're on 33.
Page 33.
Oh, hold on, since I have to write this down. Benefit of UCO members, right? I mean, UCO members are unit owners, so we just need one, okay? And that is.
Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
No, you're not, you're exactly right. It says it in the definitions at the beginning of the bylaws that unit owners and UCO members are one and the same, but I haven't found a place where we absolutely need to distinguish between them. Who did I say? Did I say Herb and then David? Sorry.
I just have one other question, and that is, since the Millennium Agreement is gonna be coming up, would that fall under responsibility of the strategic planning, or would that be an ad hoc committee? Because we have to look at, this is coming quick, and it's gonna take a long time. Look what it's taken for this.
I know.
So,
It's the responsibility of operations.
that's strictly,
That's 4 years away at least.
Okay.
You're going to panic over that, but yes, certainly the next administration in March should be intimately engaged. I just wanna say a word about your strategic planning committee. Strategic planning, yes, the part about for the benefit of the unit owners, but it's also to be knowledgeable and avoid technological surprise. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. Construction projects. Waldman, you can't have enough eyes on that guy. He's completely changed his development plan in the middle of the night. It just happened, right? Avoiding technological surprise is critical. You need certain skills and discipline. Today, You need cyber experts. All right, engineers always, in almost any field.
Sure.
This is a big deal.
Right.
Uh,
I'm gonna
Just-
come to you, Barbara, in a minute.
just on the subject of the golf course, I see this planning committee as being the perfect watchdog for that situation as it develops. That's really where it would belong.
So that's a call to action
Yeah, pretty much.
to get that committee going. Go ahead.
David, if he received certain approvals based on the plans that he submitted, right? Now, you're telling me that he's made changes.
Many,
Did that change the approval that he's received?
we don't know. We now will have to dig in to about 3 years of county minutes, and they're available. In the past, we were always informed when he made a change. We got an email from Paulette Burdick or Peyton MacArthur. We have not in this latest set of changes.
Herb, I need to go to Barbara. She's been waiting a long time. Barbara, go ahead.
Talk louder.
Can you speak?
I think what you said before, the strategic and planning committee has to be done by taking a chair, going on the channel.
I'll tell you.
Approving, and then the chair making, getting the right people together. And if there's something like the gospel, which maybe is right, comes up, then that committee should set a separate group of people who have knowledge, who get knowledge of just handling the gospel committee. Or whatever they have to handle, but that would be up to that chair and that committee.
Right.
And it has to be populated the same way everything else.
Okay, she just said that the strategic planning committee needs to be set up through a chair that you appoint and through a population of members that the committee chair selects with the advice and consent of the
I have no
officers.
trouble appointing a chair. I know who the chair should be. I don't know if he will accept it.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's the
Herb.
problem.
hold on, Herb, and then I'll come over
Any
here.
changes that Mr. Waldman makes means nothing until the change is submitted to the county and the county certifies the fact that that's the only change that's gonna be done.
Sure.
And if he doesn't get a certification from the county, that plan that he has is just like any other plan. It doesn't exist until the county said that fits. And
Okay,
if he doesn't do that, then all of this is just, you know what? Drawings on a wall.
yeah, that makes sense. Did I have somebody over there? Oh, okay, let's move on. I think that's a good idea to get that committee going. And I think as we said, the Waldman issue, the golf course issue, the Millennium Agreement, all of those things are part of strategy. Okay, very good. Let's move on to page 40. We're finally getting to conflicts and housing for older persons. We looked at this conflicts language, and we agreed to it. My question for you is, does the conflict of interest belong in the conflicts section of the bylaws? All right. Go ahead.
You got a small problem here. Whether an association wishes to be housing for older persons is in no way under UCO's control.
Okay, we're not on that item though, Dave. We're on conflicts.
No, it's, no, what
Conflicts
he's
is on
saying
page
is,
40.
if the association doesn't.
Oh, I
then it's
understand.
About the
conflict.
other.
He's a
Oh,
vote.
I see. If the association, I'm sorry, okay.
So if an association decides, despite the fact that the fee has been removed, that they have many empty units and they need to get their cash flow up, and they're gonna let anybody in. Not 55 plus, 20 somethings with kids, and they're gonna let pets in and blah, blah, blah. And they're not gonna renew their housing for older persons. Over and above a bully pulpit, which many associations will just ignore. What is our real stick in this case? right? Look what happened with Kelly, and look what it took ultimately, multiple lawsuits
To stop him.
from the developer himself before this guy finally threw in the towel. All right? And slowly but surely is complying with the community around him. So that's gotta be worded very carefully. I mean, don't worry about it. We'll get Rod to vet this out.
Right.
But our degree of control is difficult. It's not clear that we can force and over X or whatever to comply with HOPA.
I have a question for you, David. I have a question for you. If an association does not agree with the housing and they don't apply their rules, does that affect the rest of
No,
Century Village? No, it becomes an individual thing.
they're all individual, not-for-profit corporations.
Okay, but it doesn't affect the whole of
No.
Century Village.
Nothing
No, no.
that did it, it would.
Okay.
Thank God.
So what you're saying
Thank God.
is that all of this that speaks to housing for older persons, that speaks to, 55 years of age or older, and all of that requires us to say something about
You
people
go
who refuse to
shall act
comply?
as an advocate. You go shall act as an advocate, we can do that. In cajoling's a good word, but it's the wrong word, associations to apply and maintain, follow, the Housing for Older Persons Act, something like that. But we don't have real administrative control over them.
That's right.
They can tell us, bye-bye, forget it.
Where does that leave Yuko? In other words, if let's say a building loses its
HOPA.
okay? Does that mean that they're not gonna pay towards the buses, or can they use the buses?
No.
Because that's HOPA, that's under
No,
that.
no. Housing for Older Persons Act is federal,
Right.
it's also state,
Correct.
Nothing to do with transfer.
and it's very simple. You fill out a one-page form, used to be a $20 fee, that's gone. And you agree. There's a few other things you agree. I'll never forget when I first became president over at Greenbrier Sea, and I showed up at Larry Kerner's door, and he's approaching 90, and I asked him for his license, cause I have to do a HOPA survey. He laughed in my face, but you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to maintain a census of your building, so that if a HOPA inspector comes along,
And they don't.
don't hold your breath, you can show them, here's proof. There's at least one person in every unit, 55 or older, that's HOPA. Most of you have additional power in your bylaws, no permanent resident can be under 55. But I'm telling you, we have some buildings in here
Right now,
who have walked away because of cash flow problems. And Donald and I had a little chat about whether we could say, hey, you come in here with a 20-year-old, we're not gonna investigate them. And I don't know if we can get away with that. I'm waiting to hear from Rod. But HOPA, Yuko can't force HOPA. We need to educate, or yes, HOPA's concept is not inconceivable if enough buildings get on that parade.
Yeah.
You can effectively lose it,
Exactly.
just practically. You got
Okay,
kids
yeah.
pedaling around on big
Oh,
wheels,
we
you
have
know?
that,
We
yeah.
have it now.
Hold on a second, George?
David, I could be wrong, but I think I remember some years ago hearing that Century Village, Pembroke Pines gave up or lost theirs. Do you know of anything like that?
I don't know, we can find out, but sure, you can do that. There's a way to fill your buildings up.
But what I
If you
was,
got lots of non-productive units and you suddenly say, no age restriction, bring pets, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, hey.
but what I
Sure, but
understood, what I
it's a different
understood,
village.
what I understood was if they lost that, then they would be subject to taxes that they
No,
were not
no,
now.
That's
Nothing to
subject
do with tax rate.
But here's
HOPA allows you to discriminate against two protected classes: age and familial status. All right, there's about a dozen protected classes depending on which list you look at. And you can't discriminate against a protected class person. I mean, you know what I'm talking about: age, religion, national origin, blah, 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 blah. HOPA allows you to discriminate based on age and familial status. In other words, because I let you in doesn't mean I let your kids in.
Right.
Right? Who are under 55. It's a very powerful act if you use it. If you give it up to fill your building up, just keep in mind, you know, there's some buildings in here who changed their bylaws, said, well, we're lowering the age to 45. No soap. You've lowered it to 45, you can't discriminate against anybody,
Right,
Just become a regular.
including the 20-somethings and their kids.
okay. One thought that I'll come to you, Herb. We have here in the bylaw, the statement that Century Village is intended as housing for older persons. Accordingly, the members of the associations shall operate as housing for older persons as that term is used and defined under HOPA. Are you saying we need to qualify and just say,
That language is fine, but it's literally unenforceable if the association decides they're gonna go another way.
so does that mean we
What is our authority over these
don't have it, we know that,
309
we don't have it.
independent not-for-profits?
And we've said many times, everybody here, I'm sure, at their associations, you at the delegate assembly, that UCO can't tell an association what to do.
There's one interesting exception, and it's called the bilateral agreement. Now, I don't have it memorized if there's anything in the bilateral about HOPA. But to change the bilateral and get every association to sign in the current political climate has a probability of 0. Right? So that's where you'd have to change it.
Okay,
And that would give you an enforceable capability. I don't know what it says, if anything, about housing for older persons
oh, I have
in the
it,
bilateral.
we can look at it,
I don't
go
think
ahead,
it says
Herb.
anything
As,
about that.
as far as Pembroke Pines was concerned, when it was built and they had the entrance gate, on the other side of the road, they built additional buildings. Those buildings said that they would not be 55 and older. He
Yes,
built them specifically for younger people. And that's what you're talking about. Everything inside the gate was 55 and older. The buildings that he built on the outside, on the right, before you get into the gate, when you make that turn, those buildings were all for younger people. And he made sure that he specifically said that, because that was what was brought up, that it was part of
Okay, I have the 1999 bilateral, there's nothing in it.
Yeah, I didn't remember anything in here.
Membership, nonprofit, association,
What that was
community
about,
services, transportation, cooperative management,
that was about
insurance.
buying power.
it's not there.
Negotiations that you could
Right.
negotiate for the
Right.
association.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what it was about.
Yes. Okay, so where does that leave us now with Article 15, which is housing for older persons? If you have the third attachment that I gave you, the draft language for housing,
yeah, right here.
you got it. It was, does everybody have it? It was at the back of it.
It's gone.
There's a short and a long version that we looked at. And I'd like you to, do you have it, David?
I don't think so.
You'd rather listen, that's okay, you'd rather listen, that's all right. We have option 1, which is 150 words, option 2, which is 210 words. I'm obviously gonna advocate for the short one, but let me read it to you. You can follow along and see, does everybody have it? Okay. This is housing for older persons. Century Village is intended as housing for older persons. Accordingly, the members of the associations shall operate as housing for older persons, as that term is used. The members of the associations.
What?
I think it's the associations shall operate, right?
Yeah.
Century Village is intended as housing for older persons. Accordingly, the associations shall operate as housing for older persons, as that term is used and defined in the applicable Federal Housing for Older Persons Act, HOPA, and state fair housing laws. That's A. B, subject to the exceptions permitted by the declaration of condominium for the individual condominium associations in Century Village, in compliance with HOPA and state fair housing laws, the following rules apply, among others. 1, all condominium units shall be held for occupancy by persons 55 years of age or older. No permanent occupancy by persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted, and no occupancy shall be permitted by individuals between the ages of 18 and 54 unless the condominium unit is also occupied by at least one person 55 years of age or older. I thought there was language in here that spoke to unless the association changes the bylaws.
They can change the bylaws till doomsday. But federal law is the federal law.
Okay, all right,
And by the way, HOPA simply says, and you've got it in there, I heard one line,
yes,
occupied by at least one person,
right.
55 or older.
Correct.
Alright,
Yeah, that's number 3.
now, there's 20% exclusion for special cases, activities of daily living, you understand that there are emergency situations. And that 20% doesn't count against any of your quotas. If you understand what I was saying, it's like they're not there for HOPA purposes.
Okay,
I think the second one is a little complicated.
the 18, B, okay, subject to the exceptions permitted by the declaration of condominium for the individual condominium associations. All that is saying is the association bylaws, right?
The declaration is a higher order governing document. Be careful. It supersedes the bylaws. Yeah. So many people are spending thousands of dollars to rewrite their bylaws, and they forget to conform them with the articles of incorporation and declaration of condominium. So they build in a conflict. We've had one here in Yuko for decades, right? One document says all owners are members of Yuko who wish to be so.
We took that out, but yeah,
And the other one says all owners are members.
right,
Well, that needs to come out.
okay,
I heard it.
okay, so the question is,
We'll see.
what?
It says there's another one.
Well, yeah, there's the longer version. I wanted
There's a
to-
longer version, and the only difference in the longer version is that I repeat every time, the term occupancy shall have the meaning ascribed in the applicable Federal Housing for Older Persons Act and state fair housing laws. We say that at the beginning, I just repeat it for each item.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think we need it, what do you think?
You probably don't need it.
What do you think? Anybody? Are you comfortable with it? Are we saying let's go with the first option?
Yeah, the shorter one.
And we don't need, are you saying, we don't need to qualify this by saying that we really have no authority to do this?
You don't have to do that. But it's just understood. If any association wishes to go in a different direction, you can't turn off their transponders, you can't turn off their call-in privileges, you have no real influence.
It's interesting.
You can do lots of things until somebody stands up and says, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And we can't, not legally, right? These are independent, not-for-profits, and they wanna let in 20-year-olds.
They really can. We don't wanna advertise that in the bylaws though.
Right.
Ruth and then
But
Herb
but
and
if
somebody
they
over here.
bring in those under 20, let's say 15, that will go against WPRF, who allows only up to a beginning at a certain age, and they won't get into.
Oh, in the clubhouse, well, that's true.
Yeah.
There are issues there,
Right.
but that's local regulation.
Herb, yes, thank you, Ruth. Herb,
You know, I had this situation where I lived before, where parents, grandparents of children, they had
okay,
the husband and wife died in a car accident. There were 2 kids that were left, and they went to the grandparents to stay. They lived in a 55 and older community in Tamarack, and the bylaws said nobody under 18. But it was because of special needs, hardship, that came before the board, and the board had to commit
That's right.
and change for that specific
That's right.
problem.
That's
So hardship exists all the time.
yes.
And it's gonna go before the board at the building to
Yeah,
decide.
I was just gonna say, it's the building
Not
board
UCO.
that,
That's
not
the-
UCO that makes that decision.
Alright.
Go ahead. Oh, wait a minute,
This
and then
is-
Barbara, right after you, Dave.
This is a process used by many people. They get a doctor to say, I need help with 2 or more activities of daily living.
Correct.
There's a list, there's a published list, right? Eating, toileting, showering, whatever, there's a list. And I need my grandchild, who's 23, to live here and help me. Don't even think about turning it down. You'll lose, right?
Yeah.
As long as there's a doctor's note
Yeah.
that confirms this medical requirement, they're in.
The issue is intent, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, Century Village is intended as housing for older persons. And I don't think we need to get into the business of listing all the exceptions. We just,
No.
we list the intent of the law and we're covered. Hold on, I've got Barbara who's been waiting a long time. Go ahead, Barbara.
Okay, I think option 1 suffices exactly what you wanna trade for our village. Like you said, Anita, I don't think you have to look at all the exceptions, there are many. I do, and I would like to make, I don't know if you're gonna vote on, but I think option 1 is good. I also want to say, something I heard say, I don't know who it was, about WPRS. Now, if someone is approved in a building, regardless of their age, if they're 20 or 30, they will still get a WPRS card. Some of them said they don't.
No, it was cleared up. She was saying that, yes, it was. I'm sorry, it's hard for you to hear. But it was cleared up. Nobody can take their rights away, even if their association has allowed them in. That's what we're saying?
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm for option 1, if I need to make a motion, I will.
I think we're okay. At this point, as long as we don't have disagreement, I don't think we need a motion on every item. Am I wrong? Anybody? You comfortable with that? Okay, thanks, Barbara. Okay, so we're agreeing on this. The decision is yes on option 1. The last one is conflicts. Let's look at conflicts. It's a separate page. This is the one that says, the only thing that Article 14 says was, in the case of any conflict between the articles of incorporation and these bylaws, the article shall control. And we know that.
That's statute.
That's right. So we added, this is on page 40 in the bylaws, page 40. Got it, everybody? Okay. The issue we had was whether somebody who worked for an entity that does business with UCO can volunteer in UCO or run for office. Do you remember that conflict we had?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Is this the place where the conflict of interest language about that belongs?
Are you talking about members of WPRF?
Yes, or vendors or
Yes.
whatever, if they buy
Yes.
in here, they
Okay.
can't become.
Let me read it to you. I'll read it to and Barbara, I'll read it.
I have it in front of me, I made copies of that.
Okay, thank you. So the overall language is conflict of interest. Under the section of conflicts is my question. Does it belong here? Unfortunately, it applies to committees and executive board and a ton of things that come way before in the bylaws. So I'm wondering if it should be placed sooner in on the bylaws. But right now, it's under conflicts because that's where we have it. And it says, UCO members employed by or otherwise have a relationship with entities that do business with UCO may volunteer in UCO, run for UCO office, or serve as a delegate if they are in compliance with Florida Statute 617 conflict of interest requirements. 1, the relationship that's a conflict of interest must be disclosed to the entire committee responsible for approving a contract or transaction by a vote. A member who has a conflicting relationship or interest may not vote along with other members. A conflict of interest transaction must receive the majority of votes of the board or committee members who have no relationship or interest in the transaction. A record of compliance with these disclosure and voting requirements should be recorded in the meeting minutes when a member with a conflict of interest is present at a meeting where a transaction or vote occurs. Does this make sense to everybody?
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
Scenario 1. Joe Jones, senior executive at Seacrest Services, has a unit in Century Village. A great big contract is up for voting. Well, it's pretty clear Joe Jones shouldn't be allowed to vote,
Right,
right? He
Right.
should recuse himself.
right.
But maybe the vast majority of people voting don't know Joe Jones has a unit in the building. I mean in the village. This is a hard problem. This is basic ethics 101, right? When I was cable chair, and this is from government training, it wasn't even a question. I had to go out and sell about 300 shares of Comcast stock that I own. Wasn't even a matter of doubt in my mind, but not everybody thinks that way, right? I don't see how you're gonna enforce that, but I think you're on the right track.
Well, it says the relationship that is a conflict of interest must be disclosed to the entire committee, but what if somebody doesn't disclose it, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
Um, would somebody have known, no, nobody would have known that you had Comcast shares.
I think it's very interesting. You have situations developing here. Eva Richesky's mom, they have some sort of property interests in here.
Yeah.
Is this an issue? I don't know. What if Eva's mom ends up as president of a building and is a delegate? Could happen.
What?
Is there an issue there?
No,
No.
no. She owns her own apartment, she does not work for WPRF. No. Eva, yes.
Eva could-
Close family relationship.
The advice, we asked Rod, remember,
Yes.
his advice was that, yes, they can do whatever they want, we can't stop them.
Okay.
And the law says it, but the law gives us 4 provisos. It has to be disclosed. And I suppose that if people find out later that someone didn't disclose it, that's grounds for getting them off the committee.
Usually not. It's very interesting if you read the statutes about non-eligible people on boards and actions that are subsequently taken. They don't automatically get reversed.
Can-
Those decisions stand.
Can I make,
Go ahead, Herb.
okay, there are buildings where husband and wife, the husband's the president, the wife's the vice president, and so on, and best friend is the treasurer. In UCO, we have a vice president and a volunteer who's very capable, Phyllis, that
No,
the husband and
it's on
wife
executive
are-
board.
they're on the executive board. So but there could be a conflict if somebody wanted to run, but it's not, you can't throw them off
Yeah,
because of that. And there are buildings, I mean, all over this place that are in conflict.
Remember, they changed 718
That's right.
about husband and wife,
Right.
unless you have, was it fewer than 10 units?
Right.
Husband and wife are okay. I mean,
If there is a vacancy on the board at the time of the cutoff, yes, it's husband and wife. It doesn't say husband and wife, it says two owners of the same unit.
Yeah, so,
if there's a vacancy is what you're saying.
If a
Yeah.
vacancy exists at the time of the cutoff,
exactly, and that's the proviso,
Right.
right there, that's
Okay,
the hook.
I think David's point was that this is an ethics issue. It really is an ethics issue. It would be hard to imagine that somebody on that committee or that board would not know that somebody has a conflict, is working for someplace else or,
Not many secrets in this village.
yeah, I know, so I
Well,
think, but it is a question of ethics and I don't know that we can do anything about it. Is there anything we can do? Okay, but I think we still should state it. It's our intent, it's what we expect, it's what's going to make the village run well and protect our status as an over 55 community. We don't say anything in here about if we don't follow these rules, our status as an over 55 community could be at risk.
Well, if enough of them do it.
Yeah,
um,
but that's the law, that's not our issue.
you can read the HOPA statutes. If I can find someone, in the past, we have had people who were willing to crawl through Florida Commission on Human Rights site and pull out those folks that have expired. And we've done it in the past, I have no qualms about doing it in the future, publishing those names. We just need someone who will do it. It's a long, hard slog. Randall used to do it, Anitra did it after that. I just don't have anyone who wants to sit down and do that. It's a hard job.
Yeah.
You gotta go through 309 associations and check the dates. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
We've
Okay.
tried in the past to keep people informed. You can forget. If Seacrest was on the ball, they'd be doing it for every one of us.
They would, you're right. David, thank you.
Just to expand on what David said about a no vote on a contract. Well, if this person would happen to be on the bid committee and there'd be 3 bids, well, okay, I'm not gonna vote, but I've got the information for all the other 3 bidders. So you have that conflict there. That person really should say, I don't even wanna look at these bids.
Right.
Because
That's what.
ethically, that's what they should say.
That's the
It's not going to happen, but that's something also that we have to be careful about.
Yeah, I had that pounded into me for 30 years. But most people haven't,
Right,
you know. I had to sit and listen to the IG.
right.
And it went on and on and on every other week. And it becomes part of your engrams. And-
Right.
But most people, so what?
Yeah, the problem too is that once, this is in the bylaws, that we can't close anybody out. It's like opening the door.
Right.
And we have to be ready for that, but it is the law, so there's nothing we can do. Donald?
in reality, you can't legislate honor. You either do the right thing or you don't. People all
true.
know how to behave and they make that
It's so
decision
true.
themselves.
Right,
All we can do is advocate
Right.
for that to happen.
right. Very good. So we've done this one. And we're going to keep the conflict that we've just discussed, UCO members who, under the conflict at the end of the document. You're comfortable with it being at the end? Okay, Yes, Barbara.
On the conflict, I don't know if that is something that can remove someone, but if I had a family member who came down to you, so that would be considered like, I think it was David Bowie said, for doing, let's say, Asheville, and I didn't recruit myself, or I didn't say it, I don't think I should be allowed on that committee then, because I could resign from day one. You have to have some kind of saying, these are the rules you follow on committees, and if you don't, you will be removed. There's nothing wrong with that. They can be removed by the chair of the committee itself.
What she said is that if something happens and people find there was a conflict that someone didn't disclose, the committee chair should have the right to remove that person for not being honest about the relationship.
I think the committee chair has the right to remove somebody if they feel that there is a problem with that person,
Whatever.
Right.
whatever the
That's built
reasoning
in.
be.
We put that
it's
into
built
the
in.
language.
And then he can appoint somebody else.
But remember the language, without just cause,
Right.
and I think
Without
there's
cause, yeah.
advice and consent of the
It is, yes.
Right.
We do have it built in generally, Barbara, so we're thinking we don't have to repeat it here because the chair, with the advice and consent of the officers committee, has a right to remove any committee member for cause. We use the language
Yeah, it's
cause.
there.
It's on there.
Okay.
The committee chair themselves. I'm just saying.
That's another, then we're gonna have, that's another whole issue, right? She said, what if the committee chair is in conflict?
Well, the committee gets rid of the chair.
And then it goes to the president, I would assume, who appointed the chair. Yeah,
Has to go to the office.
okay, thank you. Where is that? Let's find that language. Does anybody want us to go through it? That was committees under, is that Article 8, committees? I'm looking at, hold on, I think it's 21.
Yeah.
Um, Yes. The president, with the advice and consent of the officers' committee, shall create all committees and appoint the chairpersons. The chairperson of each committee, with the advice and consent of the officers' committee, shall populate the committee. No committee member may be discharged without cause. But, 1, the president, with the advice and consent of the officers' committee, may discharge a committee member for cause. The committee, with the advice and consent of the officers' committee, and for reasons agreed upon by a majority of its members, may discharge a committee member for cause.
Isn't that cover it all?
The president or committee chairperson discharging a member on behalf of the committee shall notify the person in writing of the discharge and the cause for same. With the advice and consent of the officers' committee, the president shall appoint, that's another article. So we're comfortable with that. Are you, Barbara? Okay, all right. We are really running ahead, which is great. We are in fabulous shape. I wanna look at one last thing, and then we're pretty much done with the first pass
Good.
of bylaws, believe it or not.
Thank you, somebody, what page you got?
Let's go back to amendments,
What number?
which is, it may be 9 and 10, let's go back. 32, 33, 37, some records. I'm looking, amendment, Article 11,
What page?
page 38. Page 38. That's actually what I wanna talk about is on page 39. Okay. Nonsense. Okay. Okay, you remember, it's, once a proposed amendment is approved, as noted in paragraph 1 above, the following procedures. During the meeting at which the proposal is adopted, the text of the changes will be read aloud and discussed.
What page?
page 39.
39.
During the
B1.
meeting at which the proposal is adopted, by whom is my question? Is it the advisory committee, is it the delegate assembly? Oh, no, that would be the advisory committee, I think we need to specify of the advisory committee. At the very next meeting of the delegates, the vote will be taken by the delegate assembly and must be approved by the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the delegates. And the notice of both meetings, which the proposed amendment is considered, shall set forth the proposed amendment or an outline of its terms. The notice of both meetings at which the proposed amendment is considered, and again, what meetings are those? What meetings are those? Is it delegate assembly? Is it the advisory committee?
That top paragraph, it says delegates may not vote on a proposed amendment submitted as a motion from the assembly floor if the proposed amendment has not gone through the foregoing process. So all this has to be done, it's gotta be by committee before it goes to the delegates.
Right,
It's
so
gotta
it's
go,
got advisory officers and executive board is what we're talking about.
there's an order
It goes
that
through
it
the
goes
process.
through
And it's
to get to the
advisory,
delegates.
You
officers,
get it, goes advisory, officers, executive board, and then delegates.
delegate, so I'll just include those, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, I think, let's just go through to make sure we haven't missed any, I think we've done
Excuse
the
me,
first full pass,
Yeah.
yes.
I'd like to go back to page 38, the bottom of the page, number 3, where it says, by any UCO member submitted in writing by at least, and then approved by at least 100 UCO members, is that correct?
Yes,
That's what we've adopted?
we voted on 100 members signing a petition. That's going to have a lot of fight and argument to it.
Yeah, well, of course, I've heard people give different figures, and I was under the impression we said 100,
Yeah.
We
which is
did
what.
say 100.
which is what it says.
Nobody should be talking about anything yet, other than 25 members, which is in the current bylaws.
Exactly, right,
So we have accepted up to this point,
yes,
25 signatures, right up
That's
until
true.
today,
true.
okay? So now, we said 100, there'll be a lot of people fighting that and saying it's too much, so we wanna be really rock solid.
Okay.
The other point is, if we approve electronic signatures, then 100 of them is nothing, it's gonna be very simple, so I think we should stick with it, John.
Well, if you're gonna get 100 signatures and you got 10,000, we'll just say 10,000 people, that's only what, 1/10%? That's not very much of a consensus to bring something forward, so I think 100 is well within reason.
Right, it's
That's
a,
like
it's a minimum.
If I would say, I don't like it, well, then we gotta change all the rules for me. And that's basically what, if you don't have at least 100.
It is a small amount when you think about it.
It is very, very small.
And we're talking unit owners. So, what have we got, 7,000 units?
7854.
7854,
Yeah.
okay. Then we can get 100 people, for, for an idea. Okay, we've done the pass-through. So the issue for you, we're not done with the meeting, we will be done at 12. But the issue for the members is to please go through it from the beginning. And really look at it and understand that the things that were moved, like on page 5, Article 5 purposes, those were moved by the committee before us that Marilyn Gorodetzer hosted.
Right.
And we just accepted them. And I think in the last pass, I mean, I went through it and I think they're fine, but as a last pass, we wanna consider, did we move things to the right places, are we happy with the stuff? Everything in here, in red or blue, and there's no difference between red or blue, it's just a question of whether the setting worked when we printed it. Those indicate changes that we made or moves that we made, from one place to another. That gets tricky down in committees.
Right.
Because we added so many committees and we move so many committees that the whole thing is almost blue. But go through it, take a look at it, make sure you're comfortable with what we did. And that's what we, and the other thing is, we're not gonna go through everything next month. What I'm gonna do is call on members and say, have you identified anything you wanna change? We're not gonna spend the, 7 hours going over 44 pages. So David, the point is that we finished the first pass of bylaws. And thank you to the committee and even guests who made some very great suggestions, and there we are. In the next month, when I get you the changes, I'll try to do it really fast. Go through it from page 1 to page 44 and make sure you're comfortable with everything we did. When we come to the next meeting, I'm going to ask, did you find anything we should change? Okay? So that's that. Now let's go back to the rest of the agenda and finish up. So, the next item on the agenda, we covered petitions and the close date. Are you comfortable with me sending out a notice and saying we're not accepting any more until the ones are finished?
Oh, you want to integrate them into what's just been done? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what we're trying
Well, I
to do.
think that what we're saying is that we've got 14 of them now that have come in, that have been vetted or are being vetted. I think we have to do it. Do you wanna say no, that we don't include them in?
Yeah, but the question is, do you wanna do it in the environment of the current bylaws as they now stand, or in the environment of the revised draft?
Hold on, let me go through the people here, David and then her, go ahead.
Well, since this is the proposed, what we're working on is proposed, I don't think there's any question that we have to let them come in by the current bylaws that we have.
Yes, that's right.
We're unaware that even this, if this is going to be approved, but even if it is approved, it still should come in under the old bylaws because it has met the
And
time.
we let them
of
come
being
in with
submitted.
25 signatures, remember?
Exactly.
We let them come in, so we
That's
did.
right.
And there's a process.
Yeah.
Every one of those changes has to go through the process.
Yeah.
Correct,
Officers, executive board, delegate assembly.
correct, advisory.
That's gonna hold this up.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna hold up our getting these bylaws,
Right.
approved. It could go 6 months maybe, I don't know.
We could,
Well, if it doesn't,
This
there'll have
this
to
was
be
the basis of
amendments.
my question. And I think David reiterated it. We haven't changed the bylaws yet. All we're doing now is draft. So how do you wanna handle these dozen or so changes? Under the existing bylaws, go through the process. And then, once you have that new set of bylaws, then you bring this forward. You're right on the edge of something here, and you gotta decide how you wanna go. Right?
Okay, I have a thought, but go ahead and then
No, go ahead.
Barbara.
No, go ahead, you're.
Barbara, go ahead, you said you wanted to talk?
I agree with David Bowen that we're letting these 14 bylaws proposal changes come in under the old ruling. So therefore, the way we allowed it, that they have to be processed. We cannot do nothing on the new bylaws, so we're processed, because they might be put in, some of them into the new bylaws.
Right. So Barbara is just saying that we accepted them in and we can't now say we're not gonna include you in this revision.
That's the question. You could take this whole set. Remember, it hasn't gone through the process. But we made lots of changes and just integrate them into the new proposed draft.
I hear what you're saying, should,
If they're approved.
Well, that's the
that's
question.
what we're talking.
what you're saying is, should we take I'm sorry to repeat it, but I have to for my own head. You're saying, should we take these new petitions that have come in and include them, for the hell of it, include them so that they have a chance to be approved through the process? There's one problem with that.
Yes.
Some of them, like one vote, can't just go into the bylaws. There has to be a process and some subsets that have to be explained if you're gonna put that in the bylaws.
I agree with you. That is the worst, that's a bad word. It is the most difficult of the lot because of the infrastructure and change that it requires. I sent you what Rod had to say about changing the bylaws to accommodate one vote. That in itself is a major change. Not to just mention the donkey work that's gonna spin off this. So it would seem to me that these petitions came in at an interesting time and that they should be worked against the existing bylaws,
Right,
all right?
I agree, I think we all agree with that. You're right, the existing bylaws apply. The question is, do we take the new ones and plop them in to our revision, or do we put it through the advisory officers, executive board, and delegates, and then come back and put it in these bylaws? I actually think we have to do it that way, but
That is the process that we're living under currently.
Right.
It's gotta go through advisory, officers, executive board, delegates. That's the process that we're living in. That's how this has gotta go.
If you do it, if you infuse them into what we're doing now, I guarantee you somebody is gonna say, you guys pulled a fast one here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I agree.
It
Joy?
doesn't make any sense to not do that, to vet them first and then through the process. Because if you incorporate them now, as they like to throw out this whole package
Right.
that you've worked on for the last
Right.
year and a half.
Right, although I'm gonna give you one possible consideration. The way that an amendment can be processed is a resolution of the advisory committee or the officers, or a petition by the unit owners. The resolution of the advisory committee could include our considering those bylaws and deciding to sponsor them ourselves. Is that a correct reading? Is that a correct reading as you understand it?
You can do that,
You could do that.
but I think it will be looked on
As a pulling a fast one?
as,
I think we need a vote on this.
Just,
Yeah, but I agree with that. I
just
just wanted to raise that.
it would be brilliantly efficient to do it that way.
Right.
Just fuse them in, and here's the revision we propose of the bylaws. But we've put in a lot of stuff that was never a bylaw,
Right.
was never approved,
Exactly.
we've just fused it in.
Yeah, and
And somebody is gonna get upset about that.
I agree, because not only that, we can't put them in as they're written. They're one sentence.
Right.
Some of them. And there's no, clarification, refinement, the way we do with
Right.
committees and everything else. There's the bylaw, and then it's the article, and then it's A, B, C, and D. So I agree. We got more? Let me finish here and I'll come right to you, Marcia. I should have gone to John, but go ahead.
There are easy ones to work with. I mean, I think there's one on term limits. I think that there's one on that. That's an easy one to discuss and push through and get it up to the delegates. One vote is gonna be a lot harder. So there are easy ones that we can probably generate and get moving real quickly. And then there's the ones that we're gonna have a big discussion about. But I do feel that you have to start with those and take them one at a time and pass them up and let it go, and then work them. Some of them are gonna be easy to work and get up there, and the others we're gonna have to.
Can we take more than one at a time?
Certainly.
To the officers?
Oh, absolutely.
So we can, yeah, okay, so,
Absolutely.
Depends how you do that. You can't dump a dozen changes
Oh, no,
on the delegates and say, take the whole package or leave it.
No,
I do it one by one.
You
One by
gotta let
one.
them do it one by one.
one by one.
Okay, that's the question I just asked.
Yeah, you can't,
So we can't say,
Tough one.
of the 12 that just came in, let's take these 5 and discuss it and then go to the officers, the executive
You
board
can.
of directors.
that you
But
can
when
do
they come
because
to the
it's
delegate
because
assembly,
you're
they have
gonna
to
get
be
it to-
voted on singly.
Oh, yeah,
single,
oh,
A,
okay.
B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it.
Okay, yes,
If
please.
I'm not mistaken, there is some of the bylaws that the petitions are already in the
The draft.
in the new draft.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, so I mean, why can't you basically take all of them? I mean, if you're saying there is 12, but there may be some that are very, very quick, and then do them all at the same time to the officers and.
Except the one vote.
Go to Marcia and then I'm gonna make a comment and read you the items. Go ahead.
I think there's more to this than what we're looking at. The one vote has been kicked around for so many years. I think it's important, if you want people to volunteer for these committees, people in the village, if you want them to take an interest, then this is something that needs to go forward and be passed. I don't think you should kick it around any more than you need to. I think it's important that it gets done.
The mechanics has to be worked out.
Yeah, it's so complicated though, Marcia. It is complicated. It needs the election committee, it needs.
It was worked out,
everybody.
years ago, and there's no reason why it has to change. It was worked out years ago, and then it was
Worked
It
on.
was just never
there's a
taken
big
care of the way it should have been taken
Okay.
care of.
Alright, well here's one point, which is, we can go through the list and choose the first 5 we wanna take as a group, and move quickly. We can do that, I think we're saying that, in fact, I wanna do 2 things, I wanna take a vote on that decision, and then I wanna go through these, Olga's list, and see which we think might be the quickest ones that we might wanna group together, if you want to do that. Herb, go ahead.
I don't think you should pick an arbitrary number, I think you should read out what it is, and then come up with
Okay,
which ones we wanna do first, and that's it. If it's
Okay.
5, it's 5, if it's 6, it's 6, if it's 3, it's 3.
I'd like go ahead quickly,
Just
Ian.
one point.
Yeah.
You can put anything in bylaws, obviously. We're gonna give a 50-pound sack of gold to every unit.
I want
I'm
that.
up,
And that'll pass with flying colors, but it will never be implemented.
Right.
I'm telling you, I have read every piece of paper on 1 vote per unit, and it's like that.
79 pages, you told me, yes.
And it's non-trivial. The most interesting chat about it is with Susan Booker and how it's done in the county. There is a lot of infrastructure behind when you go into that room in the clubhouse and vote. There's all sorts of issues involved in maintaining voter rolls. You think it's easy?
Records maintenance is
We
big.
process
Right.
12 to 1,500 a year through here. And that's endless change. Now, a good chunk of those are renters. But the voter rolls consist of unit owners in here. And I guarantee I'll start a big controversy. Who votes? Everybody on the deed? One person who's filed a voting certificate? How about grandkids who are on the deed and live in Vermont, right? All of these issues have to be dealt with and resolved through the attorney. And Marcia's right, a lot of it was worked out through Ron. And I think I forwarded you all that stuff and the recommended changes. And even years ago, it was non-trivial, okay? And you're gonna need some number of volunteers on that election committee who are really gonna stick to it in terms of maintaining voter rolls. That's gonna be the big thing, maintenance of voter rolls.
Right, that makes sense.
And that changes every day.
Yeah,
And that,
It changes every day.
and that has to be, the best place for that would be investigations would know the names and so forth.
No,
what's-
because they don't do it.
And, yeah,
Some people choose not to have an investigation.
On an owner?
Yes.
Oh, I give up.
okay,
How you gonna know
let's
the-
have a motion, go ahead, Barbara?
the County records.
Yeah,
Doesn't the advisory committee have to look at all of these amendments that were handed in that we're holding now before we do anything?
Yes.
that's what we're making a motion on right now. And right, I think what we're saying, what we're saying is that we are going to include all the petitions that have come in at this point, but they will go through the process of advisory, officers, executive committee, and then delegates. They can go in 2 or 3 at a time through those committees, they have to be voted on individually, okay?
Yes, but the Korea go through and be voted individually.
Yes,
Okay.
we were just saying, we don't think that, let's say there's, what were there altogether?
You got 25.
There were 25, and we're not, right, let me hold back. There are over a dozen right now, we're not gonna take the rest of these, right? There are over a dozen now. What we were then gonna talk about was if we wanted to consider more, but we just made the decision that we're not going to. So, okay, so, can I have a motion?
To do what?
To cut off,
This is our job to do these, we don't need a motion to do
do
this.
it.
You can read them, so we know, and then we pick
Well,
up which
I thought we needed a motion to say that the petitions that are in, that have been included, and that right now that's over a dozen, that have been vetted, will go through the process of the formal process of
I
advisory
don't think it's
officers,
necessary.
executive board.
I'll make that notion
Will
if
be
you want,
correlated with the current bylaws as written.
as
That
written
was the
now.
second part, and will be wait a minute,
that right?
correlated with the current
Current.
proposed amendments.
No,
No.
current.
current in effect,
This is not, this is, hold,
not been,
draft.
it's not
Right.
been approved.
we don't know. We
They
have
may
to
not
go
buy
with
it.
what we actually have, what our bylaws
On the
state,
books now.
on the books now.
2013
So that's,
bylaws.
But you're saying, but you're not
and then
talking.
if it passes, we'll include it in the new one.
It sounds like you're telling me to put it in the language ahead of time?
No.
No, all I'm saying is the current bylaws, those,
2013,
right,
yes.
those petitions fulfilled every need that they needed to come to the advisory to
Yes.
be. Okay, so that's what we're gonna decide on which ones we're gonna take up first. And then it goes through the whole step, and if the delegates vote for it, then we would incorporate it into this draft.
I don't understand what you're saying.
No.
We're gonna,
After it's done, you can,
No,
Well, John, and then I
Okay,
wanna
we're
comment.
gonna take the petitions and the bylaws we have right now. Forget what you're doing here. Take our bylaws and approve or disapprove the petition. Okay, once you get it through the delegates, then bring it back here and insert it in here.
exactly what you just said.
Okay, okay.
I was
I
just trying
thought-
to help her
I
understand, 'cause
thought, yes, you
No.
are helping me, both are good. I thought what we were gonna do was take the new petitions, put them through the process, and then incorporate them into our
we we have to
proposal.
take them to the delegates first
Okay.
and then
Right.
incorporate them. Otherwise, there'll be,
Okay,
people
Yeah.
looking at it funny, saying, well,
They
you
have to
slid
be-
this in,
they
slid
have
that
to be
in,
approved.
And took this out and put that in.
okay, tell me the language. The petitions that have
Been received today.
received to date and vetted, obviously,
Mhm.
will be processed, will go through the formal process, right?
Correct. And if you wanna list it, advisory
Say
offices,
under the current
under
bylaws.
the current bylaws.
Under the current bylaws.
which is advisory,
Right.
officers, executive
Right, so they
board,
go
delegates.
through and they're approved, and then what happens to them?
Then it comes back to advisory and we incorporate it into the new bylaws. But
Put
they-
it into the proposed amendments.
Proposed amendments, and then that whole thing has to be approved.
Okay, that's what okay,
There's no other way.
There's no other way.
I,
No,
I don't
So
know
it'll
how I
go
got off
from
track,
here
but
to
that's
the
what I want to do.
Officers Committee and then to the
Goes through the regular process.
Executive
regular
board.
process.
Then the combined revisions that we've made, plus the vetted bylaws approved by the delegate assembly get put together, and the entire thing goes back.
And you have a new phone book.
Yeah.
So that's gonna take 6 months.
No,
You don't think?
no, because a lot of these you can push through
Okay,
and then go up to the next month.
Takes what it takes.
Right.
takes.
Bring it forward at the next advisory, you can bring the petition forward at the next advisory meeting and
Bring
get it
it right
started.
there. You can pick four or
Okay.
five if you want.
All right, Donald.
Alright, I just wanna make sure I'm understanding what you guys are doing, just so I understand.
Please, I'm
Um,
confused.
This committee has been working on this set of bylaws proposed for what, a year and a half?
At least,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, now essentially, you put a lot of work into this, a lot of thought, a lot of revisions. Now, how many amendments how many petitions?
25.
25 come in, essentially
I'm sorry,
No.
no, they're not all in.
No.
Let's say a dozen
A
have
dozen
come in and
have
are
come
being
in
vetted.
essentially at the 11th hour.
And that's it.
And now are you proposing to put those documents, assuming they pass through all the process, into this document before it gets to the delegate assembly?
No,
No.
after.
No,
it's
Actually, they become part
Part
of the
Current
current bylaw.
bylaws.
Current bylaws, okay.
If they're approved by the delegate.
Right, and it would
Very
would automatically be in
Okay.
the current.
So what's the timeline of getting this to the delegates for approval?
There's no timeline on it.
There is none.
The problem is,
What do you think?
When we get
see, the problem is that we have 12 bylaws to get through,
Hold this up.
us, officers, executive board, and delegate assembly.
Okay.
So it could take months.
Hmm.
It could take months. The other option was, when we finish what we've just done together and take that to the delegate assembly and then process the others that have come in, but it's really not fair because they did come in.
It's gonna be tricky how you ask the question. You're presenting all this work at some point to the delegates with dozens of revisions, I don't even know how many.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot.
As a take it or leave it
Yeah,
amalgamated project.
I don't know how that can happen. That was in my next question.
Exactly.
No.
They're gonna wanna look at the line throughs, believe me, they're very critical, they're gonna look at the line throughs, the additions, the changes. And they have to have the right to say, we don't like this one.
Right.
You have to somehow present it so that every revision is voted on. It's gonna be very difficult. I wouldn't even think about it as a delegate. You made 42 changes here,
More than that.
and you want me to vote the whole thing. I think you're gonna have a problem with that.
Well,
Well, as we said with other items, if only one or two things stand in the way, you can send it back to the committee. And that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to have a meeting in the clubhouse to go over the bylaws, to give people a chance to ask questions and to have us explain what we
Not a bad
did.
idea. Town hall meeting.
Yeah, that's another way to do it.
Do it by quadrants, do it by the quadrants, say take each quadrant and do a town hall meeting with those quadrants. That way, you break it up into 4 different
And may I make a
sections, and then
suggestion?
have a all of your whole population.
Well,
every
I don't like
delegate
that.
should have a copy of this.
They will. It's gonna go in the
Delegates.
reporter.
Yeah.
It's going to
I
go
just
in the
gonna say, it
reporter.
has
Yeah,
to be
but-
published.
It
And
has to be, and then if
no,
somebody
it's gonna
doesn't,
be in a booklet,
Right.
its own booklet, and they'll have it.
Do it in a separate a separate,
See,
Yes,
like
It'll
we
be a
do
separate-
the
It'll
election.
be a
Correct.
separate package
Yeah.
that will be delivered with the report.
Yes, of course.
When it's ready.
okay, go ahead.
from the point of view of, in my mind, it's gonna think about this differently, efficiency. I think it'd be good to do it that way.
What way?
To get your whole new revision set of bylaws approved. And then see what the intersection is between the changes,
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
right?
Yeah.
The petitions and what you've got here. But a version that has been passed by the delegates. I think some of those dozen plus petitions are already in here,
Right, we're gonna go over that in a minute, yeah.
all right?
But I wanna just make sure what we're deciding. So the petitions received to date, oh, did you have a question? Go ahead.
I think, or what, David, is what you're trying to say is, let's put the draft in and see if it's approved. And then come back to
The petition.
the petitions that are accepted with the 25 signatures. And then that would be a one-on-one into the new bylaws.
You run into a little constitutional crisis because you've got a past set that says whatever it says.
Okay,
You need 100 petitions, signatures, and these all go, no, that's not right.
Yeah, we
No.
can't.
Because these
Yes.
came in legitimately
Right.
under the existing bylaws.
You've gotta get
So
those,
exception can be made for these.
Those
And
12
it's gonna take the same amount of time either way,
Right.
because we're gonna go back and revise them and put them in our amendments. I think, we have to incorporate these that have come in, the 12 that have come in. Put them through the process, incorporate them into the old bylaws, as you said.
right,
And then incorporate them into our revisions. Have a town meeting, have them published first. And we're still gonna have, at that delegate meeting, guaranteed, I don't like this, I don't like that.
That's right.
And we're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with it, we're not gonna do that
So
today.
doesn't this whole package, this whole revision that we have now, have to go through the process in order to bring it to the delegate assembly?
Absolutely.
It does. So what we're saying is we're doing two separate processes then. We're doing a process for the petition separately, and we're doing a process for this separately. So why can't we put it together and bring it all at the same time?
We can't, because this changes and has a signature on the petitions. The
Yeah, but we can
petitions
make
that
it
we
separate.
have to be brought forward and have to be done, and it has to be done, it should be done at the next
But these
meeting.
haven't been done either.
You
No.
can't do it after you do that.
Hold on, we're saying that the petitions that have come in to date will go through the process and be
Yes.
approved or not,
Right.
incorporated
Into this.
into the bylaws.
Right.
And actually, they can go right into the
Sure.
revisions.
Sure, because it's all revisions.
There
It
are,
hasn't
yeah,
been
so,
approved.
right, I don't think they have to go into the current 2013 bylaws separately.
well,
yes, they do,
do,
because if this isn't passed, that is the current bylaw.
You're taking those petitions and actually doing it from the current bylaws.
Yes.
You have to include them in that. It's gotta pass.
Time, go ahead.
Let's pretend that everything we've done for the past few months does not exist.
And we're on the current
That's-
bylaws.
And then we're going to look at this set
Like 12.
of petitions.
Right.
And we're gonna modify the existing bylaws.
Correct.
And they will exist for some short period of time, we would hope.
Yeah,
And we will bring forward those unique revisions in our work.
Exactly, that's how you have to do it. It's gotta
Those
pass.
revisions that we've been working on that are in fact unique. Because I can't believe some of these bylaws
Not in there.
are not already in
they
the
are.
revised work we've done.
So why don't you go over the list?
Let's go
Okay.
through the list.
Okay, and then we're gonna stop in 5 minutes, cause I wanna make one more
Go
decision.
through the ones that came in, not the ones that didn't, because they're
I'm
not gonna be considered.
I don't have all 11,
Oh, okay,
Sandy has them,
okay.
but one vote we know of,
Right.
has come in and is vetted. No president or officer shall use it, that hasn't come in yet, I don't think.
What's that?
See, I don't know, there are 11 of them, I can go get the 11 of them if you want to go
Well, they're the
over.
ones we should talk about, not 25 of them that
I'll do
haven't
that.
come in.
Well, does it,
The ones that have been vetted already.
Yeah.
which
And
one?
you
Yeah.
know.
Just the
Yeah.
ones that have been?
Get the ones that have been vetted and
All
go
right.
through those.
I think we should wait and do this next time.
Great.
That's another month.
Huh?
That's another month.
Go ahead.
You know, but- Get it done now.
Another meeting, bring in all the amendments, proposed amendments, and have the committee go over all of them and go through without one meeting.
That's a possibility. I'm gonna back up again and have us vote on what we are going to do. So, the petitions received to date and vetted will go through the formal process, okay? And then we will incorporate those into the old amendment, the old bylaws. That's what you wanna do.
After it goes through the whole process, yes.
Do we have a quorum?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Barely.
No, we don't. I don't think we do.
Well, what's his name's coming back? John's coming back.
7 out of 12.
Now, 1, 2, 3,
And we do.
4,
Good.
5,
So-
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, she probably is, she had left her stuff here.
And then we're gonna go through, then we're gonna process our own revisions that we've done. Incorporated with the new ones?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna vote on that. Ruth, I know you, are you leaving? Do you have to leave at 12?
No,
Okay.
Dorothy's.
So we're voting on
Those are-
taking the new petitions that have come in, processing them through the whole thing that we go through, and incorporating them into the old bylaws.
Right. That's how I
Which
understood
seems crazy, but okay, we'll do
We
that.
have
it.
And then we'll incorporate them into our
our,
amendments and process those.
Yes.
Okay, we barely have a quorum,
Okay,
shall we
well,
we can't say old, we have to say current bylaw.
Current, thank you.
Current.
And incorporate in the new proposal
And here
and
you
there's,
can,
there's
and
your
process
petition.
those.
here you can tell them what has come in and we cut off today.
Thank you, who got that,
I
John?
did.
Oh, you did, thank you. Okay,
Can I, before we do this, can I
Yeah.
make a suggestion? And I'm not opposed, and I don't know how many people are. Can we have another meeting in between the next meeting and just strictly go over these? Don't do
that's
any
what
other
Barbara just
business.
suggested,
Oh.
yeah, yes.
Don't do any other business.
Then we get an idea today
Yeah,
what they are.
so they can get-
Yeah.
And we-
So they
we
get
start
to
think about
officers and then
Yes.
to the executive board and then to
Right.
the delegate assembly.
Okay, we've got a motion, I want somebody to state,
What
to
was
say the motion and vote on it,
Okay.
that we are taking the ones in and processing them all the way through to the delegate assembly and incorporating them into the current 2013 bylaws. And step 2 is that we will incorporate them into our proposed amendments and process those.
I
That's
make
the
that
motion.
motion.
Okay, Ruth
Second.
moved,
I second, whatever.
and then Herb second. Okay, all in favor? Okay, passed. And how many of us are there? Barbara, are you voting?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And how many, do you have a quorum?
Yes,
If not, force it.
And
right,
John will be
unanimous.
back in.
John-
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
To the stuff.
The other thing I wanna do is, and actually this is a question for David, but for all of us, when do we tee up our attorney? Rod is our attorney of record, he's the
Soon
guy.
as you have a final
Mhm.
draft version,
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay, and we're not considering what we're finishing, the final version, we're gonna wait till all the others come in.
When you decide on which of those petitions are going forward, they have to go to Rod too.
Yes, everything
Got
has to go to.
Yeah.
So when we've got everything incorporated,
Yeah,
the old bylaws, our proposed bylaws, the petitions that are sitting
All
on the
goes
desk,
through.
that's when we go to Rod. Okay, I just wanted to clear that up. Alright, let me tell you what's in. This is one vote, one vote for each, this says one vote for each resident,
Alright,
that's that one.
One unit.
whoa,
Whoa.
Yes, I'm sorry.
that's wrong,
Then
you've
it's out
got
the
to
door.
talk to the drafter
yes.
as to what he or she means,
Yeah, what concept?
because that's the example I gave earlier,
I know.
right?
We thought the intention was one vote per unit,
That's
but it
what,
didn't come in that way.
That's
Does
what
anybody
What
know?
I saw it did, but it was
It
conflicting.
was one vote per unit,
But you can't interpret what's there,
owner
but it's.
per,
No,
no, per idea.
I just heard renters and occupants
No,
get the vote.
can't be
They
per
weren't all
ID.
the same.
you see,
You
You
can't
can't
interpret
interpret
that,
that
Olga
with the
had
signatures
put
on
it
it.
in
I heard
originally.
resident.
It has to be resubmitted with the, you can't interpret something that has petitions on it the way it's written, or
Right.
other signatures.
I heard the
It's gotta
word
be-
resident.
It's gotta be
Yeah,
redone.
That's
I
what it
heard,
says.
occupants, renters.
This is what it says.
Renters is,
Go ahead.
language is important, folks.
It sure is.
Right.
That one is.
Well, we don't, if we're not voting on these, we don't really need to know the exact verbiage
but that's
until
one,
it gets here.
that's one that you have to kick back
No, I
to
don't
them
need
to
it
find
before,
out.
I need it when we're gonna vote on it.
You agree?
Okay, so what we have is,
And if we have one, that's good.
Joy is right. If there's a significant change in language,
Right.
you can't just tack it on to a
No,
page full of
no,
signatures.
of course not.
We
Wanna
went
go
through
back?
this 2 years
Take
ago,
it
and
out.
we threw
Right.
out the
okay,
Records dead.
this says
That's
resident.
written.
That's dead.
Yes, Barbara?
I know you guys have a meeting on the amendments, am I correct?
I guess we will. Shall we have a meeting on the
And
amendments?
the second one was Joy, can they hear me? Are you on speaker?
Yes,
Go ahead.
So Joy, what you just said is right. If the
Yeah.
amendment is written the way that us
We can't consider it.
we
It's
can't.
not- it's no good.
Right,
Good.
She's right.
And we did that, you're right, Joy, 2 years ago.
right. All right, go back to
And I agree,
Olga.
but
Okay,
that's what the committee decides when we do this,
that's
not
right,
ahead of time.
Right.
I can't force it in,
that's
when
right.
it comes here, then it's sent back to for clarification.
Hold on,
We can't do that ahead of time.
Yes,
here's an option. Remember, this committee can generate changes.
I know.
Correct.
If this committee adopted that, but we would change the language,
you could do it,
then it could go forward.
then it can go forward.
You don't need a,
Signatures or no signatures,
right, you don't need a petition.
because I don't think the drafter means what that says.
Right,
That is tricky. Right?
so we can change the language of the,
You can adopt a
Proposed.
one vote
okay,
amendment,
You could adopt the premise.
Yourself.
but it's got to be very clear as to who's voting. Is a husband and wife voting? If you say no, if you say one vote per unit, literally, then you need a voting certificate from every unit.
this all says, all of these say, one vote for each resident, no person shall be permitted more than one vote. Now, Marilyn, I know that you worked on these with Olga.
Residents, that doesn't mean that they didn't have to be known.
Did you mean, no, it says resident owner, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
Did you mean one vote per unit? Is that what you really
Well, I
mean?
think different petitions
Resident
say
owner means if I don't
worded
live here, I don't get to
differently. So you
vote.
have to look closely
bullshit.
at each petition and see what it says. Because I don't think they were all worded the same way.
Who's gonna check to see how
Then
many
we
months I
can't
live in the
accept
apartment?
them.
If I'm a unit owner,
I think every unit owner should vote, not just one, not just one unit.
Mm-mm.
I think every
so
unit owner
that's
should
different
vote.
word.
That's
And
every
different-
member
that's
should vote.
different
If
though.
you're a unit owner and you
No.
live in
Hold on,
and you live in Chicago,
I got a question.
why shouldn't you get a vote?
I got a question.
I'm
I got a
voting,
question.
I'm voting my
Well,
financial
we're not gonna
interest.
do absentee ballots.
Well,
Why not?
can I ask you?
Why not?
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Okay. The basic thing is you have an owner. That owner is a occupier of an apartment,
Right,
but he owns 10 apartments. He doesn't get 10 votes because he owns 10. He only gets one vote for the
One vote.
apartment that he's occupying.
That's another issue,
What if he
Am I
doesn't
right or wrong?
occupy anyway?
okay?
And another
There are a number of issues.
Hold on.
That language has to be very clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Donald and then Barbara.
I just heard resident owner.
Hmm.
By that, you've just disenfranchised every snowbird.
Right,
But snowbirds, some snowbirds are resident owners,
Yeah,
because
they
they
occupy.
are here. They're here 6 months, or they could be here 4 months, but they're still,
You
They're
have to have a
occupied.
separate meeting and look
Okay.
at these
Can
petitions.
you imagine
yeah.
the debate density
Yeah.
at delegate assembly?
Holy mackerel.
Well, we
we
don't,
have to have a separate.
first of all, we don't have a petition clearly stated,
No.
so that we can define it. So that's number one, Olga has to define it.
Now, she doesn't have to define it,
Well, we can.
Or we can.
Sure.
We can define.
she may or we may.
And now what you're saying then is if she defines this, then you don't have to take it back to the people that signed that petition?
You would have
I
to,
would let
you
my
would have to,
signature
yeah,
go,
you would
that's
have
the way
to.
it was done.
Correct.
I would never
Correct.
agree to that.
If we take it up,
Well, hold it, please. Hold it.
if we
I'll
take
come
it
right
up,
to you, I promise.
if we
After
take it
Barbara.
up as our own and play with the language, you don't have to go back for signatures
That's right.
because this body can generate an amendment.
We can accept.
But we ought to give the drafter the courtesy of thinking about what she really meant.
Agree.
I agree with Donald when he says, you say one resident owner, you have disenfranchised anybody who's not on campus at election time. Is that right?
They say unit owner, you don't say resident.
Well, the language, again,
It's not our
It
language.
says each resident owner is what this says.
I don't think they all say the
You
same
have to
thing.
mail them a ballot,
I
And-
agree.
don't you?
And bear
You
in
have to mail them
mind, bear in
Hold
mind,
it.
you have 4 people in a 2-bedroom, which is allowed, as against 1 person in a 2-bedroom, and you're gonna give them 4 votes versus 1?
No.
I've never
No.
voted.
You have, and you show your ID, it's one unit owner.
Everybody has an
Everybody has an ID.
Doesn't everybody vote, who wants to vote for the
Okay,
president
so
of the
now you're
United
getting into
States?
those 79
Why should everybody
pages.
have a
Yeah.
vote?
Right.
Yes, right.
This is incredibly
Difficult.
complex.
Yes, it
And
should
I
be
don't
separate.
think-
Another meeting.
I don't, yeah, we not only do we need another meeting, I don't know that we're in a position without some more research and some more discussion with people
Yes.
to come to a point where we can even propose it.
Absolutely.
But,
I agree
so,
with that.
yes,
Can I,
Whoever made these, recommendations for the proposals, whoever's name is on there, you invite them to the next meeting.
right,
You
right.
talk to them, the committee, if they think something is right, maybe you can work on it together, but you need a separate meeting, what you're wasting now is time.
We're gonna
You're
have
not
a
getting anywhere, because you can't vote. I wanna say thank you for a good meeting, and everybody, I'm leaving the meeting.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
okay,
Yes, Marilyn,
yeah, can we have another can you be,
yes,
the advisory take another meeting before September the 8th, because I'm leaving for Canada for a month. And I won't be at the next meeting, and let's go through, you know, especially the ones that are most important, that there's so much talk on.
You want me to, should I go out and ask, well, she's not here, who's running the desk? Find
Sandy,
out what dates open.
Sandy is out
Sandy.
there.
yes,
Sandy
please.
know, she knows what dates.
She's out.
But
Well,
let Anita do that.
Well, let's pick a date and then
let
ask
the
her.
chair work the
Yeah,
calendar.
Yeah,
you work,
and then
yeah,
ask.
you have to work the
I'm
calendar.
sorry if somebody ain't here, they ain't here, I'm sorry, we can't do that.
No, I'm saying,
No, if we're gonna make meetings to accommodate one person, then you're gonna have to accommodate everybody.
I'm saying to find out the date that's open. You can say we're gonna meet in 2 weeks, but if there's no open spot, you can't do
I
it.
realize that.
And the chair has.
We do this
She'll get
all
it.
the time, we have a meeting set for the 12th, which is our next meeting.
That's the
We'll try to
regular.
make one in between,
Right.
and I'll send out a note to the committee.
Aside from this petition, this particular one that's going to be the most controversial, what are the other petitions that we
Yeah.
can think about them in the meantime?
Okay,
Get an idea of what we
Okay.
wanna, so that we can move them along quickly.
Okay, hold on. Vote for each resident, hold on, okay. All proposals for financing of non-budgeted items shall be approved by the delegates by a majority vote at the delegate assembly. Wow, that's gonna be tough, okay? Officers of UCO shall be elected by a majority vote that allows one vote for each resident. Oh, that's,
That's
okay,
a
we just did that, I'm
the other
sorry,
one.
sorry. Officers of UCO, officers of UCO. One resident, this is all the same, yeah, and then I'll go to the next one, okay? Let me go to the next one.
Anita, can you just put this on your agenda? That
For
you
the
send
next
out?
meeting.
That, you know, that's gonna be
Yeah.
tough for
I
you to
just
go.
wanna hear what they are, so we can get an idea of what we're thinking, and maybe if we wanna discuss it with some of our residents.
She didn't send them all in. She didn't send them all.
Everything in the, she
Yeah.
gave us all.
Okay.
This is the big, it is so arcane and convoluted.
Yeah, those are all I have. The one vote financing, we also have, which were done before, electronic signatures, quorum,
Mhm.
that when there's a delegate meeting, if there's no quorum, the
Executive board.
the executive board will not have the final say. It'll go to the next meeting or whatever it is, that one. Okay, that's the officers. And then one vote for each owner, that's all I have, that's all she gave me. There are more, we're gonna have a meeting.
Let's pick a date for an interim meeting,
Well,
if you will.
we will, I'll speak to Sandy and figure out what it's gonna be. Does
Thank
anybody
you.
have something they can't do?
Well, I can't know until you tell me what you wanna do.
Well, you can
I think
tell
you
me
should
what
have-
you're booked
You
for.
have
Oh,
just, have
okay.
one meeting
If
just for
it's-
the one vote.
Yeah, if it's going to be in August,
Like that's what they do.
I can tell you it can't be the 21st. I can
Okay.
tell you it can't be tomorrow. It
Oh, it's
can't
24th.
be.
Let me come up with a date with Sandy, send it out to you.
Yeah.
You'll kick back to me and say, I can't do it, I'll come up with another one if possible. We're not gonna do that today, I will do that.
Yeah,
And the meeting when we get together is to go over the list
Mhm.
of petitions that are in.
Can you just read the list, that was given that you have of the petitions that were put in?
Yeah, the one page.
Right.
Just the one page.
But
Right,
they
but they're
want-
not put in, I mean, they're not
Because I
in.
know some of them are already in
Right.
the proposal that we've made.
One vote for all resident unit owners, and then it says one vote per unit.
Yeah, that's.
So that's wrong.
That was a conflict.
No president or officer shall use their personal website for any UCO business. Establish a UCO website for informational purposes only. Two-year term limits for all UCO officers and executive board. No president or officer of UCO shall sign any contract, budgeted or not, over 1,000 without delegate approval. I don't know how you run a business doing that, frankly. I don't know how you.
Well, that's what you gotta talk about as
Yeah,
well.
in the event of an emergency, a special meeting of the delegates may be called with notices in the clubhouse, website and channel 63. If a quorum is not present, the majority vote prevails. That's an emergency.
ooh,
Officers shall not vote on more than 2 committees. All committees shall be limited to 2 votes by any officer. When a president violates a bylaw and is given written notice of said violation, he must correct the violation within 7 days. If a president violates 3 bylaws without correcting said violation, he is subject to removal by a majority vote of the delegate assembly. No resident of Century Village shall be a paid employee of UCO, we took care of that already, that's done. And they can be, unfortunately, A forum shall be held each year for all candidates. It's not in the bylaws, it says that we may, the search committee may have a forum. The chair of a committee shall be the sole person authorized to remove a member. A sitting president shall not have the authority to arbitrarily remove the chair of any committee without cause. Well, that's pretty much what we have. We did that one.
And the approval of the,
The Yuko reporter shall be available to all residents within the guidelines of a professional news organization. I don't know what that means. It
does that
shall
mean?
contain an op-ed column. We'll
Shall be
discuss all
available?
these.
Let me
The
get the
Century Village blog, channel 63 and 85 shall be available to all residents.
95.
Yeah, it said, this is what the
It is available.
Well,
It's on
it's on
television.
Yeah,
It
he
is.
made a mistake on that.
information submitted by various clubs shall be available, shall be made available to the residents at each delegate assembly. The position of ombudsman shall be restored. All committee meetings shall be videotaped or recorded. Do we do that?
well, we're doing
We're doing it.
We're
As
doing it
long
now.
as there's no technical glitch, the answer is
Okay.
yes.
All committee members and their votes on any issue shall be published in the Yuko Reporter. The bid committee shall be included on the list of Yuko committees. We did
It's
that.
already in.
We did that. Clarify procedures for removal of officers. We went through it, but okay. With the exception of emergencies, a quorum must be available for any motion to be passed when presented by the executive board. Is that not?
This is like the other one in the same church, 2 pews over. You could have conceivably something pass. If you open the door to votes without a quorum being present, you could have these things, especially at the executive board, 5 people could pass something.
Right. Okay, let's not discuss the
I
individual ones.
understand.
Let's go on. Yuko may hold weekly staff meetings, which shall be limited to the volunteer staff and officers. Discussion shall be limited to the operation of the Yuko office. Voting of any business outside the parameters of the Yuko office is prohibited. When a resident owner applies for a seat on a committee, the administration committee chair must show just cause to deny the application. A list of just causes that define the protocol may be appropriate. Criminal record. Suggested by Neil Moore. Proxy vote by delegates during the summer session.
Some of this must come right out of the little red book.
Proxy vote by delegates during the summer session. Suggested by David Israel. A proxy vote by delegates, does that mean,
Well, if you're
Snowbirds?
serious about one vote per unit, as Donald said, you can't disenfranchise half the population
right, okay,
because they don't happen to be here at election time.
all right,
So
we'll
it has to
discuss
be a
it.
paper ballot.
All proposals for non-budgeted items by WPRF shall be approved by the delegates by a vote of the delegate assembly. Okay, some of these,
Okay, the
Or
one
top.
on the ombudsman, wasn't that one already discussed and suggested into the new bylaws?
no,
so.
Cause I
no,
know we had discussed that one.
gee,
I think it's in, I recall
Okay.
something in
it's
there.
not in, it's
there
not in
was
bylaws.
We'll talk to that, but I don't think
Yeah.
I'll put it in.
But no vote.
There was an issue when I took office, about how that was done. And Rod said it was a lawsuit waiting to happen. The ombudsman has to be someone who is knowledgeable of the law and all of the governing documents. You're almost at the level of a paralegal or an attorney.
Okay.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but for someone who really is not knowledgeable to be, quote, resolving some very complex problems that unit owners may have is a dangerous game. That was all we said. You need someone with a legal background.
You do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, Joy?
But on that, just to get back to that first, the question of what power do they have? What power do they have, other than to suggest anything? So what's the purpose?
And the parties
One
in
point is that you have a petition here that was brought forth by a non-owner, why somebody's a renter, how can we accept that kind of, that petition?
Well, we're not, we can't.
Okay,
If Neil Morse has a petition in there, is he not the renter?
Yes.
Yes,
Then
he's
how
a
can you
renter.
accept his petition?
We're not
We're not
Yeah.
accepting it, we're
We're just saying
giving
that it
them,
came
giving them the courtesy to present it, and then we
reading
just
it.
discard it, it's not a
Well,
problem.
why should we give him the courtesy?
Because we're courteous people.
Oh, we are not that.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that, I didn't wanna say it.
Dare you
Okay.
suggest
so I'm going to set a meeting between now and September 12th, the
Yes.
second meeting.
Yes.
I'm going to invite Olga to go to discuss, and we're gonna focus on one vote, but we will discuss all her petitions.
Are you saying that Olga is the one person that has submitted all 12 or 14 of these?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay,
To her
and
list.
well,
she's
you
the right
too,
one.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you just submit
But if there's
all
somebody else, they
Yeah.
should be invited
the-
too.
You're invited to.
Well, I
I
think,
would think.
I think she had help in writing that list, but she submitted it, so.
Alright.
Anybody should be able to come to the meeting.
Oh, it's
an
open.
open meeting.
It'll
It's
be
an
an
open
open
And
meeting.
they
Is
went through, she went through all of everything that was on and in the bylaws here.
Yeah, so why
And
not?
that's what she had picked out, she
So,
had
yeah,
pointed
but why
out
didn't
to
you put it on
Right.
all of one petition? Why is she submitting all separate petitions?
Because we were
Yeah,
told
it's
to,
not.
we were told to put
That's
in
all I'm
separate
saying.
petitions.
Oh, to that.
Thank you. Okay, alright, so David, and then we're gonna
we're gonna
have a motion to adjourn. We got a ton of work done today, and the biggest thing we did was get through the first pass of the amended bylaws. Go ahead.
I just wanna, something Dave said about the ombudsman, which is very true. When I lived in Lancaster, I was on the Office of Aging Advisory Committee. I also went to the it's hard for me to say that.
Ombudsman.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Training. And all that the ombudsman did, and they were very specific about it, so we are not attorneys, we are not lawyers. All you are doing is being an advocate for the person in a skilled or nursing home situation and the administration. You cannot do anything legally, and a position here certainly would have to have some type of legal training to do it. I'm talking about being a very specific ombudsman in the Office of Aging situation. And I had to take classes on it to
Yeah.
get certified for that. But it was very small area of what you could do. You would go into the places, give out literature to the residents. There's certainly, they call you or they could write you or something like that. And it was simple things like, well, I don't like to take a shower in the morning. So you went to the administration and say, can you schedule this person in the evening? But it was just being an advocate for that
Yeah,
person.
that's a good way to explain it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take up time on
No,
that,
that's
but
okay.
just an explanation of
But
that.
that's not gonna be, that's not what they want.
No. That's fine, it would,
Okay.
and the
So-
attorney is right, it would be unbelievable.
So again, you're going to take the bylaws and go through it all the way and see if you spot things. Hold on, everybody. Thank you. You're gonna go through it and see if there's anything you want to change, okay?
Sounds great.
And then we're gonna have a separate meeting, and then we'll be back on the 12th also, and I'll send out an email for the
and I'll
meeting.
go out with you now, I'm returning this, so I'll see
Thank
what
you.
she's got.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
thank you, Anita. Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn, David.
thank you, everyone.
Things
that should be used, perhaps a mediator or an arbitrator, and a person good standing and fair.
Just out of
Issues,
curiosity, how many people do you think
will
will
really
really
deal
deal
with the way
cover
some of
the
the things happen in the area.
said